Hello, business builders, and welcome to Business for Breakfast, where business is the most important meal of the day. I'm your host, Aaron Novinger, the Venti Business Guy. Our goal on this channel is to give you a ton of micro lessons to help you mind your own business. Today's topic, my 10 favorite productivity hacks, secrets that will completely unlock your potential. Buckle up, folks. This one's going to be good. To get started, I kind of need to be honest with you guys and kind of tell you the beginning of where I really started honing in on being as efficient and productive as possible. And to do that, I have to take us back about 15 years ago. So, as most of you guys know, I was in ministry for 10 years and I pastored for 7 of those 10 years. And after about 3 years of being in ministry, so this would probably be, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there, I had just started the homeless ministry at our church. At the time, running the small groups, which is a huge part of our church, I was the volunteer coordinator, and I had just started the homeless ministry at the church. Mind you, I did all of that part-time while I was running the practice. So, needless to say, those were the days of 100-hour weeks for sure. And this is probably about 2 months into starting the homeless ministry. And then I had a breakdown. I lost it. I absolutely lost my mind. When I say lost my mind, I didn't go into a loony bin or anything like that. I mean, I had nothing left in the tank. Up until that point, I ran everything on my own abilities, right? Not trying to be as efficient as possible, not seeking to build a leadership team to help me do it, none of that stuff. This was me willing this to happen. And I broke. And I was going to throw in the towel and basically just kind of give up on everything. But I felt the Holy Spirit kind of guiding me through this process. And so what I'm going to share with you today are the 10, secrets that I've learned through the years of what to do, how to do it. And I always say, I've done it wrong so many times. I've figured out a few ways of doing things right. And so I want to share with you, as a Venti business owner, the secrets that I've learned through the years to help me be as efficient as possible, allowing me to kind of do everything that I want to be able to do. And I'm just assuming that you're probably, if you're watching this, you're probably where I was years ago, where I had nothing to give. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. It was absolutely exhausting. And so my prayer today is that after we finish up, that you sense some hope, and that what you've been struggling with, that it could be a new business. You could be doing this for 20 to 30 years. My hope is that through this micro lesson, you're able to, run your business with the weight being so much lighter, okay? We've all been there, right? We've all been to that point where we're ready to break, okay? And so the very first thing that I want to kind of share with you guys is the expectations. Okay, so today I'm just going to share with you the top 10 hacks that I've used the last 20 plus years. But for you, don't be overwhelmed, okay? This is about applying. I'm a big believer in 1% improvement every day, every week. Slow, gradual improvements, okay? So, if you can apply one of these per month or one of these per quarter, just understand that after a couple years of doing this, you're not going to be the same person. Your business won't be the same. Your relationships won't be the same. Because the thing that people don't understand is you are your business and your business is you. They're one and the same. So if you can run your business more effectively and efficiently, doesn't that also make sense that you're going to run your personal life more effectively, more efficiently? This is really about you reclaiming your time, because in the end, we all know, right? When we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. When you say yes to inefficient, then you are saying no to efficient, right? Which means you're saying yes to wasting time and you're saying no to saving time. Understand, that's what's happening right now. All of us have the same 24 hours in a day. How is it that you've got individuals that run multiple 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, have time for everything, and they have the same 24 hours as somebody who, is working 100 hours a week running a taco stand? Same 24 hours, okay? But it's because we've got to learn how to be efficient. Now, the very first productivity hack that I want to share with you, probably, I would definitely say it's in the top 3 of the most important out of the top 10 list. Are you ready for this? Routine is the key. Consistency will set you free. Routine is the key. Consistency will set you free. One more time. Routine is the key. Consistency will set you free. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, let me just kind of share a little background on me. I started my very first business at 13, my first 7-figure business at age 21. So by the time I graduated high school, I was fully immersed in business. I didn't have a degree in it, I just loved it. I just had this weird thing where I have the ability to kind of see what's missing and then meet the need, which is basically all business is. But when I was in my early 20s, I would be building a business during the day, but usually it wasn't making me any money. And because of that, what I had to do was wait tables at night. I was a professional waiter in a fine dining restaurant and obviously made very good income, but I had to work it in the evening. And if you've ever waited tables, you understand that it's all about the nightlife. Because whenever you finish up working in the evening, you got to close up, you got to do all of your end of the night stuff that you have to do, and then you have to get home and then try to unwind. I mean, you're talking going to bed at midnight, 1, 2 a.m. consistently. And so when I was in my early 20s, I very much was a night owl. But intuitively, I just kind of knew that successful people, when I say successful people, understand I'm talking about the rule, not the exception. There's lots and lots of successful individuals who, wake up at 10 a.m. in the morning. Okay. But I mean, like as a whole, they're just seemed to be this whole other world of possibilities if you just wake up early. And so I kind of knew 20 plus years ago, maybe 25 years ago, that I needed to become a morning person. And so I worked really, really hard at going to bed or getting up early. So 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. And for me, how I started it was working out. So I would basically find somebody to work out with in the morning. And that kind of jump started me to getting up early. And the more you get up early, the more your body craves getting up early. To the point where I am today, I've been doing this for years and years and years. I wake up every day, no alarm, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. And I love it, okay? So waking up early, and I'll tell you exactly what my morning routine is. It's the same routine. It always is. I wake up, whatever time I wake up. I take my morning pills. I make my pot of coffee. I have like a little Mr. Coffee pot. It's like a little 5-cup mini coffee pot maker. I get the coffee ready to roll, and then I sit down on the couch, and I've got my headphones in so I'm not waking anybody up. And I sit down on the couch, and I've got the same blanket, and I put it in my lap, and then Lily, one of our cats, always comes over, sits in my lap. This is the routine. I do this every single day. And I spend the first 45 minutes to an hour every day I call it me time. I'm on YouTube, I'm creating, I'm writing, I'm journaling. I've been doing this for so many years that I've just trained myself first thing in the morning to unlock my brain, to allow it to be creative. That is my morning routine. I'll set an alarm for about an hour, but a lot of times, with somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour, I'm done. And then I pick up the house and I'll kind of get stuff picked up, and then somewhere between 6 and 7 a.m. It's weird because I've kind of trained most of my friends, and I say trained them, that's unfair to say. It seems as though my friends and my family are kind of all early birds, and so I typically talk to all of them either between 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. And it's not every day, but during that 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., I typically will talk to a friend or a family member. But as soon as I finish up kind of picking up, I now sit down and I start building my day. I start engineering how my day is going to go. Did you hear that? Remember the old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I am so OCD that I'm very intentional to plan my day. Okay, so I sit down, I look at the goals for the year. I've got quarterly, annual goals that are broke down by quarter. And so I have a punch list of all these items I have to do. Some of them are ideas, some of them I have to do tomorrow, and some are, let's couch that for 2 months from now, whatever. But I've got my list, and so what I do is, first thing in the morning is I open up my Evernote file, and I've got a notebook called Whiteboard, and it's basically Monday through Friday what I do during the week. It's just one note. It just makes it very, very easy for me. And then that note is for that week. So it's a notebook that says Whiteboard, and then each note in the notebook is a note in that notebook, but it's 1 week's worth of to-do list. So I build my daily planner, and in that same note, I have a template that's 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, 1, all the way down to 5 to 6, okay? And I copy that, it's empty, and I paste it in that day's plan. then I immediately go to my calendar and I put in and write in what is already on the calendar. Okay? The meetings I already have scheduled. And then everything that I have, even though it says 7 to 8, I basically break my hours into 2 30-minute blocks. So I time block my whole day every 30 minutes, and it's time blocked to the minute, right? So you can imagine by 6 a.m., I'm typically planning my day. I start working at 6 a.m. and then I start writing, okay, here's what I got to get going on. Here's my punch list of things, and I just look at it. And then I'm able to pull out, okay, don't forget, we've got to record a video today, or don't forget this week, you've got to have this done by Friday, whatever. I have all that written out. And then I have all the little million little to-do things that are also in the schedule. And I will backfill my schedule accordingly. I'm telling you all of this because this is my routine. This is the same routine that you'll find that every successful person does. It's a variation of this. You got to find what works for you. And that's another little side note here. Me sharing this with you took me years and years to figure out what works for me. So I am definitely not saying that this is going to work for you. I'm just giving you a flow and a template of how I build my routine.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. When you start doing this, if you've never done it, your body is going to fight you with every fiber of your being. Every fiber. That's because all of us have something called resistance. Okay? Now, there is a phenomenal book. And you're going to confuse the book, but it's called The War of Art. The War of Art. You know, there's another book called The Art of War. Okay? Not this one. It's the other one. The War of Art. And the author talks about resistance in creating. And that is your subconscious fighting you. Okay? But understand, you're going to have it. Mark my words, every single time you try to better yourself, you're going to fight resistance. Okay? So, once you've started doing a new routine, and you can do it for 3-4 weeks, your body starts getting conditioned to that. And then you do it for a little bit longer, and before you know it, your body basically is set. Basically says, hey, this is what we do now. And the reason why this works this way, it's one of the laws of physics, right? Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force, okay? So if you have not started this, when you start it, remember, your subconscious is going to want to stay at rest the way it was before, right? You get that? So whenever you feel the resistance, this is not something spiritual. This is a law of physics. If you weren't doing it, objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Tend to. What does that mean? It wants to stop. It wants to keep where you are at, whatever that was. It wants to stay there. Okay? So, but we're talking about my morning routine. But here's the dealio. If you want to be a person who gets up uber early, your morning starts the night before. Let me say that again. Your morning routine starts the night before. I believe I'd read that this was a belief that's taught heavily in the Jewish faith, in the Jewish culture, that tomorrow starts the night before. And there's so much truth to that, because if, let's just say hypothetically that you decide this coming up Monday, you're going to be that person. 5 a.m., no matter what, you're going to get up. Great. Well, here's the problem. What happens if you go to bed at 2 a.m.? Are you getting up at 5? No, you ain't. What happens if you drink pretty heavily the night before? You getting up at 5? Probably not. Let's say you deal with major heartburn, and like I do, and you had a big old pizza or Italian, because I don't know why, but Italian tears my stomach up, which stinks because I'm Italian. But what happens if you didn't get a good night's sleep because you had heartburn all night? Chances of you getting up at 5 are slim, which means you have to be thinking about tomorrow morning the night before and engineering. Listen to what I just said. Engineering your perfect day. But you have to start it the night before. It has to. There's no other way. So you start this the night before. And for me, I'm a guy that can fall asleep pretty easy, but I have a hard time staying asleep. But here's the dealio. I can't allow me having a restless night affect my day tomorrow. So what do? I take sleep aids to help me. I don't take any prescriptions, nothing like that. But I have to take stuff to not get me to sleep, but to stay asleep and have a good night's sleep. So that way when I wake up in the morning, I feel fantastic. And I am not exaggerating, okay? When I get up in the morning, I cannot stay in bed for more than 30 seconds. As soon as my eyes wake up, I'm like, alrighty, let's go. I am straight up. I can't sit in bed. But that's also because as soon as I wake up, I'm awake. That's the way I'm wired. So, for you, first thing you need to do, engineer your perfect morning. It's the first thing, right? But then you got to make sure that you create that plan and be intentional, because again, resistance is going to want to sabotage this. Pay attention. It's going to happen. Mark my words. Okay. I spent a lot of time on this because everything that I'm going to talk about for this kind of falls in line with hack number 1 or secret number 1. Secret number 2, set early deadlines. Oh man, this is so key. When I talk about setting early deadlines, I'm really referring to not accountability, that's later. This is more about Parkinson's law, not the disease, the law. And the most simplistic way to describe Parkinson's law is that as much time, money, or space that you allot for something, you will use, okay? So, what do I mean by that? Let's use the example of the kid in college, okay? I know because I was this dude. So tell me if you can relate to this. Day 1, you get your syllabus and you find out exactly when the end of the semester paper is due, the thesis for the class. And when do we actually do the paper? The week it's due. The week it's due. I don't know why we do this. Now I say we. I'm specifically talking about people that struggle with ADD and or procrastination, because those two go hand in hand. Now, you have people like my wife who are the opposite of that. It's very difficult for her to go to bed at night if she has things that don't have a check mark by it. If her to-do list isn't done, it's difficult for her to go to sleep. That is not my problem at all, okay? Set early deadlines. So what I mean by this is whatever task you are executing on at the moment, whatever project you're executing on, everything that we accomplish can be broken down into a series of small next steps. Everything. And if you're struggling in an area at kind of a roadblock and you had something on your project list to do for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 2 years, That's because you haven't broken it down to the next 5 steps. And this is a little secret for you that I use, is if I'm stuck or whatever I'm doing, I just always write down my next 5 steps. So, and I've got this saying that helps me not get overwhelmed. I don't stress over A to Z. I obsess over A to E. Let me say it again. I don't stress over A to Z. I obsess over A to E. The next few steps, okay? So, write out a couple of your next steps, okay? And then ready for this? Set the meeting, the call, whoever it is, right? So if it's your boss or if it's one of your team members or this project, right? Set quick meetings, okay? So let me give you an example. Whenever I've got meetings with clients or our team members or whatever, I do not finish that call or meeting without setting the next call or meeting. Man, if you applied that one thing, it's not even part of the top 10. You applied that one thing, it would change your life. Okay, that one thing. So here's what I'm talking about. Okay, if you can focus on the next few steps and you can be intentional to set your next meetings before you finish that meeting or call, and you create your action items. Okay, the next time we talk or meet, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. Okay, and instead of setting the follow-up call for that next week, next Friday, a week from today, which we all do this, but think about it. Ask yourself honestly, when do you focus on the task at hand for that call or meeting? Usually the day before, am I right? Well, when I say that, I'm speaking about myself, obviously. But what I mean is, if I know I have a call tomorrow with an individual, and I always, when I put it on the calendar, I always put what we're talking about, and usually the action items, specifically for me, because it's like a reminder for me, then I'm looking at it the day before. Oh, don't forget, by tomorrow, when you have this call, you have to have X, Y, and Z done. Okay. Well, did you hear what I said? It's usually the day before I start working on the project. Well, if that's the case, then why did I set that call or meeting a week out? Why wouldn't I just do it 2 or 3 days from now? Right? Set early deadlines. Okay? And here's the other kicker. Stop telling people, I'll call you on this day. Stop doing it. You need to start giving exact times that you're going to call people back or you're going to have a meeting. Okay? This is killer. This is all about you accomplishing an enormous amount of activity in a short period of time, but you have to understand where your resistance is in your body, okay, and what's going to fight you. And if you have a habit of telling people I'll call you on Friday or I'll call you on Monday, we both know chances of you doing it, slim to none. And by Tuesday or Wednesday and the person calls you back, what's the first thing you do? You excuse it. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but on Monday I got this phone call, the dog ran out of the house, the water filter blew up in the kitchen, whatever it is, you're gonna make up an excuse. But tell me if this hits different for you. What if instead of saying, I'll call you on Friday, what if you said, hey, let's go ahead and set a time for us to talk on Friday? Are you better mid-morning, mid-afternoon? Mid-afternoon, cool. Then you look to see what you've got available Friday afternoon, and then you schedule it in your calendar. Google or Microsoft are amazing at doing this because you can add an attendee and you can invite that person with their email so they get the notification as well. And I don't know if you know this, but people prefer to have exact times when things are going to happen. Okay? It's just the way we're wired. Do you have a doctor's appointment set on Friday? Or do you have a doctor's appointment set at 8:30 a.m. Friday morning? okay? It's the same thing here. Set your deadlines, right? And make sure you actually have deadlines. Number 3, which is hand in glove that we just talked about, commit to others. Probably the biggest factor in helping me get so much done was in committing to others when we were going to talk next. It was a game changer for me. It absolutely was. Because the thing is if I tell somebody that I'm going to call them at a certain time, I'm the type of person that absolutely hates letting people down. Like, I hate it. And because of that, if I tell somebody I'm going to call them at Friday at 9 a.m., I'm calling them Friday at 9 a.m. And if I'm doing something, because I'm very intentional about having my alarm set to make sure that I don't miss these calls or meetings, well, the thing with me is when I get close to that meeting, and if I'm still in a meeting or I'm on a phone call or whatever, my alarms are going off. I will send a text message to the individual, hey, wrapping up a previous call, I'll call you as soon as it's done, okay? Because, why do I do that? Because here's the thing, if you've got a doctor that's calling you at a certain time, do you not sit there and wait? That phone is by your face, waiting. Well, that's the way it is. If you've got something scheduled at a certain time, that person is anxiously anticipating your phone call, right? And vice versa. So I'm telling you, this right here is going to be a game changer for you, okay? And here's the thing. We all need this accountability. All of us need accountability, okay? Even Tiger Woods needs a swing coach. Did you hear what I said? Even Tiger Woods needs a swing coach. If, arguably, the greatest golfer of our time still needs a swing coach to stay proficient. Because by default, what happens? By default, all of us tend to, I don't know, what tends to happen when we don't get constant, continual coaching, right? What happens? Well, we start, I don't know, it's like, I just think of like a car, it starts to break down. Like there's a reason why every 3,000 or 5,000 miles we have to have an oil change, right? But it's because we need those tune-ups, right? So it's the same thing here. We all need this accountability. All of us do. It's for our health. It's for our betterment. We just have to have it, okay? So understand you've got to have it. Okay, now, here is the next secret that will help unlock your productivity. Schedule your downtime. Schedule your downtime, okay? So what do I mean by this? In my 20s and my 30s, man, I really wrestled heavy with myself. I was, for a solid 10, 12, 15 year period, I did not like myself. No matter what I did, I wasn't good enough. I used to time block my day from as soon as I woke up, and if I had any downtime, I'd feel bad and guilty. It was a few years ago, and I just had this revelation, and it's like the Holy Spirit said, give yourself permission to not be perfect. Whoa, let me say that again. Give yourself permission to not be perfect, okay? And so I had to be comfortable building downtime. And the other thing that I've realized is the older I get, I can't do what I did in my 20s and 30s anymore. I just can't. I've got to be as efficient as humanly possible, and I have to really be intentional about building a great team because I don't have it in me anymore. I used to, I just don't anymore. So I have to build in my downtime, okay? And so for me, I'm very comfortable, having my evenings of doing nothing. I mean, we're talking about routine. As soon as I finish work, the very first thing that I do is I watch a rerun of Modern Family. Are you kidding? Well, first of all, I feel like I'm part Phil Dunphy anyway. Like if I could, I feel like Rebecca would let me put a, tight rope across the front yard, or I'd ride to work on a Strider rather than a motorcycle. You get it. If you've watched Modern Family, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I just love the show. And not only that, it is some of the most brilliant writing on TV, okay? And so you love the creativity, you just kind of escape. But I gotta build in that downtime. I don't feel guilty about that anymore, okay? The next hack, and it's gonna be the last one because this is a 2-part series, okay? And it goes back to the very first thing that I said about building your routine. For me, hack number 5, or secret number 5 to unlocking my productivity: waking up early. I cannot express to you enough of how my life changed and was transformed by me waking up early. Now, here's the kicker. And I talked this about in a previous video, but in the end, you have to not only just want to get up early. We all want things. We want to be skinny. We want to win the lottery. We want to have a million friends. We want to blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay, we want a 6-pack, whatever. We all want things. But you have to decide. Once you've decided you're getting up early, I'm telling you, watch what happens. Things start changing. And if you can make it past a month of getting up early, and whatever early is for you, okay? And again, look, for me, I so enjoy that time that I have with me, my time, first thing in the morning. I just so love it that I don't know, it's weird because I am so looking forward to having that time that it's almost like Christmas morning for me. I know that sounds crazy, but you remember as a kid, you could not wait to get out of bed because of what was waiting for you downstairs. I know that sounds nuts, but I engineered this thing for me with my morning routine where I have to create this, oh my gosh, it's like a Christmas morning experience for me. I can't believe it. I've never said that before. It's the first time I've said this, but for you to engineer your perfect morning routine, it's almost like the secret for you doing it is you have to create your perfect Christmas morning routine to get yourself not only up in the morning, but anxiously anticipating getting up in the morning, okay? So if you're like me, it's my coffee, it's my me time, blah, 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 right? It's just the whole thing I have set up. Well, listen, if you like that routine, I'm gonna give you one of the little things that I do, is I have these little Google plugs that I have that you just connect to the app, and I think it's Casa is one of the ones that I use. It's like the Casa app, and they have Casa plugs. And so I have that Casa plug plugged into the kitchen, and my Mr. Coffee little crapo, $25 little coffee maker that's like 5 cups, it plugs directly into that. And the reason why I like this Mr. Coffee pot is because it has one button to turn on and turn off, which means when I have it turned on, it's always in the on position. So it's not like it requires a bunch of buttons to get it turned on. It's just one button. But the reason why I like it is because when I plug that straight into my little Casa, Wi-Fi smart plug, from my bed, I can turn on the coffee pot. So by the time I walk into the kitchen, I can get it done. But let me take it another step further. If you really want to do this, in the Casa app, you can set routines and schedules. So why don't you just go ahead, and if you want to wake up at 5 a.m., just set your Casa to go off at 4:50 to brew your pot of coffee. I'm just giving you little ideas to help you engineer your Christmas morning routine. Okay? All right. I think that right there, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. Now, hoping to tie all this together, and this is a 2-part series on the top 10 secrets or hacks that I've used throughout the years to make me hypo productive, and which has really allowed me to be bivocational. It's allowed me to start multiple 7-8 figure businesses, all that because of these little secrets that I'm teaching or sharing with you today. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit of encouragement and understand everything that I'm sharing with you are just these little things that I have used to help me be a little bit better today. And I'm hoping that some of this encourages you with the same thing, okay? And you guys know, whether you think it's hard or you think it's easy, you're right. It is. But guys, what time is it? What time is it, team? It's time to get to work.